Hey Deku Fam.
Welcome back to our channel.
Welcome back.
We're back with another video. And in this video, we're talking conflict resolution. Why? Because we've had so many conflicts and we've learned how to resolve them. And we want to share some tips with you.
See, over the years, we've got all these critical skills because we are trying to have a long-lasting relationship. In order to do so, you have to learn how to argue well because we go through a lot of conflict and it's about the resolution, which is why we're standing at almost 7 years of marriage.
We made it! We made it! We're so proud, and it's not because we've argued less, it's because we've got better at resolving our conflict. So in this video, we really just want to talk you through the tips and tricks that we've learned in how to manage our conflict well. Okay, so the first way or technique.
Strategy.
Strategy. The first strategy to managing conflicts is to practice active listening. And everyone says it, but do we actually do it?
And it was a key struggle for me. Because even though I'm an introvert, in the midst of an argument, my natural instinct is to actually share how I'm feeling. And if I feel like I'm not being heard or understood, I get a little bit louder. I say it multiple different ways. Because I'm really trying to exercise the point and hammer it home because I want Anna to understand, because I'm actually hoping if she understands, something will change, she'll get better and we'll live happily ever after.
You do think that the more you say something, the more the person will understand, when actually the understanding has got nothing to do with you. It's all to do with the person and whether they're going to receive it. So that's a real challenge. But for me, I love a good chat. I'm an extrovert. Even in arguments, I will talk and talk and talk. I'll say the point in 10,000 different ways.
And because we can't control the extent to which our partner, so I can't control whether Anna actually understands me, I have to be more intentional with trying to understand Anna. And by actively listening, I'll put down my phone, give her my full attention. I will ask her various questions to try and make sure I understand what she's saying. And I might even rephrase the things that she said in order to make sure that I've actually understood.
This technique has been such a game changer for us, because when you actually realize and notice that the other person is trying to understand by asking you more questions, even in the midst of their frustration, it actually humbles you and you think, oh, maybe I want to understand him now, he's trying to understand me. So it's a real good technique, and I think maybe we should practice it right now.
Right now?
First, I guess we look at each other, don't we? We're very much looking at each other.
Hi, babe.
Hi, darling.
How you doing?
I feel as though sometimes when it comes to managing the household chores, because I'm very proactive and I'm fast at doing things and I'm good at doing things, that you sometimes take your foot off the pedal and are not as involved in maintaining the household. And I would really appreciate you to do more of that, because I get very tired.
What you're saying is that you feel like I'm not rising to the challenge because I see you running around like a Speedy Gonzales, trying to do everything, and you would appreciate if I had more of a proactive approach. You feel like I understood what you're saying.
I think you got it.
Okay.
If only it was that sweet in real life. Him summarising it back to me is really helpful. Him asking questions like, oh, have I captured everything that you're thinking? It sounds so formal and sounds so like, how are you going to do that in the midst of an argument? But actually, when we've tried it a few times and it's been recent, it actually works, hasn't it?
And the thing is, when you're constantly just talking, you actually say things that you don't mean, you offend the other. So be slow to speak, listen and ask questions and try and understand what's going on, and then you will have your turn to be able to share the frustrations, and then you can just move on.
Another strategy to managing conflict well is to express how you feel rather than labeling your partner. Oh my gosh, this one I got so wrong for at least 6 years. At least 6 years of our marriage. For the first 6 years, I don't know, I was an absolute mess. Like, you were doing this wrong, you don't know how to do that. It was bad, and Gabe doesn't take well to being labelled.
Because the thing is, when I feel like I'm being labelled like a lazy, someone who doesn't do anything, and all of these accusations are coming, what ends up happening is that I get defensive. And then I want to retaliate and defend my point to prove that what you're saying I am is actually not what I am. So we've realised over our journey to use I statements and express how you're feeling rather than just saying, you're doing this, blah, 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 blah. Because if Anna is saying, I feel a certain way, what ends up happening is that I feel kind of sorry for her. I feel a bit more empathetic. I want to be able to help you because you're feeling a certain way. And I don't want you to actually feel sad.
It just helps us know that this is not factual. It's just based on my opinion as opposed to a statement that is, you are a lazy person. It's, I feel maybe in this moment, in this season, in, you know, from what I've seen, that you are being lazy. I don't know, it just lightens the blow of the statement. And I think I've been told a lot of times by people who've seen us in disagreements that I need to be very careful with my words.
Because you're very direct.
Yes.
You summarize everything in one sentence and you're very quick.
Actually, realizing that feelings can change is a good thing, because I'm saying, oh, I feel you're being lazy at the moment. It doesn't mean that next week you'll be lazy. So it's all based on like my perspective rather than it being a factual statement. And I used to think, why does it matter? It doesn't really matter, but it actually does, especially for people who take on statements and want to become better.
Because the thing is, you can say two different sentences. The first one will make your partner defensive, and then the second sentence could make your partner actually feel like willing to help. So there's always an art in how you communicate, and I know it's difficult when you're in the midst of a lot of frustration, etc., etc., but we just have to be able to try and communicate well.
There's that statement, isn't there? Like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. How you say something is about 90% of what you're saying. And some people have the real gift of it. I do not.
You've got a lot better.
I've got a lot better recently. So by actually intentionally trying to improve on it. The third strategy to managing conflict well is to focus on the issue at hand and not bring in everything.
God. This is one I actually really struggled with. Because when a conflict arises, I would be thinking about the past. I was thinking about how this conflict affects the future. I was thinking about how this conflict reminds me of something else that's happened.
Gabes will bring linkages like it's a dissertation. Oh my goodness.
I will reference.
You will reference 2021.
Have a bibliography. But I have come to realize that I need to focus on the issue at hand and not just bring up all these other things. Because by the time I finish speaking, nobody knows what the actual issue is, including myself. I can't even remember the original point.
I remember that with some of our arguments.
It's just like, I'll just be talking.
I have to say to him, give me one thing that I need to work on here, because you've literally brought up my whole identity.
It was like a scatter. It's important to focus on the issue at hand so that we don't overwhelm the situation. We don't say things that we don't mean. We just stay one track minded and move slowly through the issue.
And that actually takes a lot of self-control. A lot of these conflict resolution tips are all about self-control.
And awareness.
Because to practice active listening, for example, or in this example, to actually focus on just the issue that's at hand, it takes a lot of discipline. You can't do it for another person, but it's just you saying, no, I'm not going to talk about last week when you did the exact same thing. I'm not going to talk about, you know, anything else. I'm going to focus on what's happening right here and now. Let's resolve that first. Next strategy to resolve conflict is to actually seek to resolve the argument.
And the thing is, this might sound really obvious. Like you have a conflict and you want to resolve it. But really and truly, when you deep it, some people's intentions is actually not to resolve the conflict. Because of how they're feeling, they actually just want to draw blood. They want to invoke pain. They want to disturb the peace. Because they're angry, they just want to attack the other person without even coming to a resolution. One of my biggest frustration is when Anna and I are going at it, it's like, there's almost like no resolution. There's no one is trying to actually find a solution. We just want to just keep going.
And that's the hardest thing when you're both just high on emotion, which is why we actually believe in like taking time out. Early on in our relationship, we didn't believe in it. We were sort of like, no, we're going to resolve it here and now. We're going to keep talking until we get to a resolution. But now it's actually okay to take a step away from the situation, get your emotions in order, check them, and then come back and actually get back to trying to resolve the argument.
It's either you compromise, you both compromise, you actually humble yourself and I can say, actually, Anna, what you were saying was right, and I'm going to ditch my idea and I'm going to go with yours because it's actually better.
Or I'm going to apologise.
Or you can actually say, you know what, we were both wrong. And now that I've understood what you're saying, you've understood what I'm saying, why don't why don't we just create a new plan together of what we're actually going to do? Yeah. And we could ditch both our ideas and create something new. The most frustrating thing I find is that where you're just bickering unnecessarily and you're not actually enjoying each other. And I just want to just go back to just hanging out with my best friend and chilling rather than all this bickering. So I need to check my emotions. And when I'm just here, just disturbing the peace unnecessarily, I need to check that and actually try and get to the bottom of it.
It takes so much dying to yourself. Relationship, sorry, I just feel it in my blood because it's so hard. Like your flesh is so weak. Your spirit is willing and wants to resolve, but then the flesh is so overpowered in that moment and really wants to just draw blood, really wants to make the person feel as bad as you felt through what they did to you, all of this type of thing. But it actually takes a work of the spirit to actually... And if you're both doing that and both have that end goal in mind, you can resolve your conflict. And the last strategy, risky strategy, is to maybe use a bit of humor in the midst of frustration.
Yeah, but we have to use it wisely. Some conflict that I find myself in with Anna is...
Ain't nobody else.
It's stupid. Like, let's get down to the bottom of it. Like, it's stupid. But I don't want to undermine Anna because she's raised something. So I might just look at her and I might just smile. I might just poke fun at her, or I might do something, and it just lightens the mood. Yeah. Because then Anna could be like, oh, why am I getting so heated about, X, Y, and Z? Yeah. And then we could just laugh it off and then move on. Yeah. And I think sometimes we have to not take ourselves too seriously in the midst of our relationship, in the midst of our conflict, and actually just be quite light-hearted. Not everything is that deep.
I know we say we argue all the time, but it's not literally all the time. And we've chosen to focus our time on the arguments that actually have some depth. And the shallow arguments, we're now just very much brushing them to the side, using humour to just get over them and move on. And it takes one person just saying, okay, I think my partner's making a stupid argument here, and I'm going to lighten it by some humour, giving her a hug, play fighting, whatever that looks like in the moment.
Did I offend you, babe? I'm so sorry. In conclusion, conflict is a natural part of any relationship, but it's about how we actually get through it that enable us to have a long-lasting and successful relationship. So we hope this video helps you guys have a few strategies up your sleeve when you face your next conflict, and hopefully you come out of it with minimal scratches.
Yes, because we will get to the end, guys. We will. We will have successful marriages. We will have happy marriages. We will be those ones that say 30, 40, 50 years. And our children and our grandchildren and our children's children's children will be looking back thinking, we thank God that our parents, grandparents actually resolved their conflict well. Hopefully this video was helpful, and we'll see you in the next one.
But don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Do they still say that on YouTube?
I don't even know anymore, but do it! Do it!